Hello everyone, this is part 22 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto was glad to be back. The meeting with Tsunade had been, he winced as his healed ribs ached in memory at the hug she had given him. It had taken Jiraiya, Mika and Hinata using Juken strikes to finally get her to let him go, and even then the blonde Hokage had kept him close during the meeting. Naruto looked out over Konoha. Night had fallen and he was restless. He had planned on going back to the hole that was his apartment, but it had been destroyed. Hinata had insisted he stay with her. He blushed at that and looked back to where she was sleeping. Naruto still had doubts and concerns. How can I lead her into danger and claim to love her? The blonde nine-tail had heard the whispered words of the ninja that were preparing the defenses. He was glad most of the citizens were evacuated to the shelters. Gaara and Tsunade during the meeting had rearranged the defenses, adding in the Sunanin. Naruto had stayed behind after the meeting, Hinata and Mika saying they'd wait outside for him. Flashback. Once the door closed, Tsunade was there hugging him again, this time more gently. Naruto was shocked as the Hokage sobbed into his shoulder. He gently hugged her back, his tails wrapping around her as well. As time passed, he heard her muttering, "I am so sorry. And, I should have been able to stop them before they exiled you." Naruto ran a hand up and down her back while holding her. "It wasn't your fault, Bar-chan. They fooled us all, and while you were busy they struck. I should have known." Tsunade said. "I failed you, Naruto. You were exiled thinking I was against you." The blonde nine-tail couldn't deny that. When he left Konohagakure behind 3 years ago, he thought that only Iruka and the Konohamaru Corps were his only friends left. He hugged her tighter. When I was exiled, he swallowed the lump in his tea. "I felt lost. When the root Anbu were ready to kill me, for a brief moment I was about to accept it." Suede held him tighter. "I thought I'd lost everything," Naruto admitted. Then a blast from my past returned and saved me." Melwasu, Tsunade said. "Yes." Naruto smiled. "We were together in the orphanage. He left suddenly, his powers kicked in and he killed a lot of people. Oji-san thought it best if he was sent away to learn to control it." Tsunade held him. In the 3 years he'd been gone, the Hokage had missed the blonde that she thought of as a younger brother. "No, my son. I might not have raised him, or given birth to him, but he feels like he's mine. I won't fail you again, Naruto." Tsunade vowed silently. So they talked. More to the point, Naruto talked and the Hokage listened. She told him of Hinata's changes, of her defense of him. "Don't doubt her love for you," Tsunade said. No, don't doubt Hinata's love for you. She would storm the gates of hell and win for you, Naruto. You are worth the world to her, and to me as well." Naruto looked at the Hokage. "Bar-chan, stupid brat," Tsunade said, hugging him tighter. "Your sense of self-worth really needs to be polished." Naruto shrugged. "Mika's been working on it. I just think she could do better than me." "And what do you think she feels about that?" "She sees you, Naruto. Not the 9 tails sticking out above your butt, the raw power you have that can level a mountain. She sees Naruto Uzumaki Kazama Namikaze, son of Konohagakure Yondaime Hokage Minato Arashi Kazama Namikaze and the former Cage of Whirlpool Kushina Uzumaki. And my adopted son." Tsunade finished hugging him tighter. Naruto's eyes widened as the 5th Hokage hugged him for all she had. "Carson," Naruto thought as he hugged the woman who claimed him, and he found the word felt right when he thought of Tsunade. End flashback. Naruto-kun. He turned from the window to see Hinata coming towards him. His mind froze seeing her bare legs. It was then that it registered with his mind that she was wearing only his shirt. Hinata. She smiled as he blushed. "You are troubled," she said, stopping next to him near the window. "Not really. Just, you can't believe you're back here," she said. Naruto nodded, his gaze looking out over Konoha once more. So much has changed, yet so much is the same. She saw his gaze going to the Hokage monument where Tsunade's face was now looking out. Naruto swore she was glaring at the third and fourth Hokages. But that's not all that's troubling you, Hinata said, and Naruto sighed. How can you know what I'm thinking, when I myself am uncertain? He looked as she snuggled into his side, her eyes sparkling in mischief. Isn't it a woman's right to know what her chosen man is thinking? Naruto wrapped his tails around her. I don't want to fail you, Hinata, he said. I think you could do better than me. I'm also concerned that the team is able to use my mechadiscipline, the fact I hadn't thought to summon it. Hinata saw the pain in his eyes. I know that bastard will be able to use it because of my blood in his veins. I'm concerned with what other effects my blood will have on him. What else can he steal from me? Hinata held on to him as he continued to look out over the village. The fact Q was reluctant to tell me he's my blood brother worries me. No, worry isn't the right word. I'm scared, Hinata. Scared what that spoiled bastard is going to do. I remember on my first mission out of Konoha, Kakashi told me why Hunter Nin destroy the bee of those they've been sent after. Power is transferable. It's why Kumo was so eager to steal you away from your family all those years ago. They planned to transplant your eyes when they had the chance. Hinata nodded, remembering all those years ago. You will beat him when the time comes, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, enjoying being against him, his tails wrapped around her, keeping her warm. As for you and me, you could never fail me. All I want from you is your love, Naruto-kun. I don't care if you become Hokage, or if we are beggars on the streets when this is over. If you leave, I leave with you. She turned against him and looked up into his eyes, her head SN out and slowly stroked his whisker marks. Naruto closed his eyes and leaned into her touch. I care about what my decisions mean to you, Hinata. You deserve the best. She smiled. Then it's a good thing I have you, Naruto-kun. Because in my eyes, you are the best and no one, no matter how much wealth or their position of power they have, compare in the slightest to you. Naruto opened his eyes. He saw the love. I must sound a fool and weak with my doubts and concerns, he said, seeing the love for him in her eyes. You have never been shown kindness except in small doses. I will fix that, Hinata said, and leaned in and kissed him. Their kissing and cuddling lasted well into the morning sunrise. Micah woke as the sun rested on him. He rolled over with a groan and froze, seeing Nami in his bed. He relaxed, remembering her crawling in late last night, remembering that she said she was uncomfortable being alone. Micah knew the bond pulled her to him, and he smiled, seeing her sleeping peacefully, her lavender hair spread out upon the pillow. He smiled, watching her sleep. Here, asleep, she was at peace. There was not sorrow in her eyes about being away from the frozen tundra of the Undervis. Her concern for him as his transformation happened. He stood and found the full-length mirror. Standing there in sleep pants, he looked at the spread of scales. His whole left arm, chest, shoulder, and a smattering of scales on his face, and a partial collar around his N. His reptilian eyes studied the look. The spread seemed to have stopped, and his brief conversation with Master Q indicated it seemed that the dragon half of his parentage claimed half of him. And like Naruto, I bear the taint of the demon heritage. He'd been surprised to find scales on his left leg, but he breathed a bit easier seeing none on his waist and around his manhood. Too early. A sleep-filled voice came from behind him, and he turned to see Nami sitting up in his shirt. Her green eyes locked on him. Did I wake you? He asked. Empty bed woke me. Gotten too used to your body heat, she admitted. Micah nodded. Since she joined them, she slept next to him. In the Undervis on the frozen tundra, she told him he was her personal space heater. Micah sat back on the bed, Nami's hand touching his bare shoulder. Micah looked at her. Don't, he said. Don't, what she said with a smirk. Don't start something we won't be able to finish, he said. Nami held a certain look in her eyes as she rose up to her knees and looked at him. Who said we wouldn't finish? She fired back. Micah felt his breathing increase. The bond was singing in high ears. Her hand on his shoulder feeling suddenly warmer. Micah felt his mouth go dry as she leaned in. He didn't get to finish as her mouth covered his. Anyone passing the room would blush at the sounds coming from the closed doors. What happened in there is between man and woman, and those old enough to know grin while the youngsters shoot their elders questioning looks. Across the way, a certain Toad-san is giggling, his pen racing over the paper and a trickle of blood from his nose as he writes his next great novel. The Dragon and the Huntress, oh yeah, bestseller again, here I come. Orochimaru's camp. Sasuke sneers as the chakra blade now blood red SS through the pair of samurai. Orochimaru on his travel throne claps. Good. Very good Sasuke-kun. The Uchiha turns, his Sharingan blazing. Orochimaru notices that along with the marks, the eyes have SS that remind him of the Kyuubi. He says nothing as the Uchiha deactivates the blade. The Dobe won't stand a chance. He says, clipping the weapon to his belt. Orochimaru nods. Konoha will fall. You and Danzo will take out the Kyuubi brat. Sasuke nods. Danzo will perform the five-pronged seal and I will take his head like I took Hitaki's. Orochimaru sneered at the arrogance of his apprentice. Did Haruno learn anything from the fool's corpse? Sasuke asked after moments of quiet. The loss of his Sharingan weakened him considerably. She took some samples, perhaps we can create the legendary White Fang's bloodline again. Orochimaru watched Sasuke walked away. Fool. Once you are finished with Konoha, I will end you. Your body while powerful is powered by a weak mind. He looked to the scroll that Sakura had brought him. She is turning out to be just as useful as Kabuto. Perhaps I should award her with some power, yes. From outside his tent the guards heard his chuckle. For now the army waited, and as time passed the Uchiha became stronger with his new weapon. Orochimaru visited Sakura and her scream filled the camp. Many of the Otonins knew what that meant. Many wondered what their pink-haired commander would be like after the latest reward. Orochimaru stood looking on. In the distance he could see Konoha in the early morning light. It had been a week since the escape of the Kyuubi brat, and he'd held the army back first to give Sasuke time to familiarize himself with his latest weapon, but then he had also allowed Sakura time to modify several of the troops after she was given her new gifts. He looked to his left where the hooded Sakura stood. Behind her stood the marauders. Orochimaru approved of the 15 men and women that Sakura had used some of his research on and improved upon. Talented girl. She was wasted in Konoha. Orochimaru thought. He then gazed to his right where Danzo was standing with a cloak wearing Sasuke and Sai. We should have attacked right away while we had them on the run, my lord. Danzo said, allowing him a week to gather and prepare. Orochimaru chuckled. But I was preparing as well, Danzo. Orochimaru turned to look at the 7-foot cloaked form. You know your task. A deep chuckle was heard. I know what I plan to do, Sannin. My master has big plans for the Kyuubi. The gloved hand holding the wicked-looking scythe clenched. I owe the Kyuubi after all. Orochimaru had been surprised by the arrival of the giant who said his master had sent him as a replacement for Shang. Shaking his head he looked back over Konoha. Their outer forces have been whipped out. Rather weak, Sasuke said from where he stood. His hand was stroking the deactivated chakra blade's handle. Just because the traps and the few ninja we did encounter were weak, Sasuke-kun, doesn't mean we saw anything. Sakura said, her voice coming from the depths of the cowl. They let us have the grounds, they used that time to study our forces. Orochimaru nodded to his new apprentice. Sakura is right, Sasuke. That is why I had her keep the marauders back. They will roll over Konoha like the riders of the apocalypse. Sasuke snorted, he had not been impressed with the science experiment. Whatever. Keep them out of my way. The Dobe is mine. Orochimaru had seen some changes in Sasuke in the past week. He'd become more animalistic, more savage. Is the blade causing this, or is it the Sharingan mutating somehow? The snake Sannin wondered. Danzo, organize the troops. Sakura, you and the marauders wait my signal. Sasuke. TCH. I'll be Dobe hunting. The Sharingan wielder walked off and Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Sakura slipped next to him, her voice low so that only he could hear her. All is ready, master. If he lives or S is irrelevant. I can harvest all I need from his warm or SF now thanks to your gifts. Orochimaru smirked. Stay with the Maruadas, Sakura. You have become special in my plans. I will, master. Orochimaru looked back at Konoha. I'm coming sooned. Your precious leaf will burn as it should have last time. Konoha. Naruto stood atop the wall, his gaze looked to the horizon. There, just beyond reach, hidden. Micah, who was next to him, leaned against a post. How do you want to do this? The silver-haired Hanyu asked. 1,000 for you, 1,000 for me. Naruto said and Micah snorted. That's not what I meant and you know it, bro. Yeah. Naruto's blue eyes looked over the horizon. Even with his enhanced sight he could barely see them. They have up genjutsus and are using the trees and shadows to hide. If not for being Hanyu, we'd never see them coming. Micah said. The pair watched the areas, and behind them the defenders of Konoha were getting ready. It had been talked about earlier that morning that Gaara, Micah, Naruto, Hinata and the Sannin would wait at the gate. Jiraiya had argued that Tsunade should remain in the back and direct things, but she said that it would be a cold day in hell before she allowed Orochimaru to gain a foothold in Konoha, and her strength and SK was more suited for the open area fighting that would take place on one side of the gate. Micah looked to where Nami and Hinata were and smirked at Naruto. Women always get what they want. The blonde Hanyu nodded. He had suggested during the morning meeting that Hinata be stationed at the hospital. The Juken strike to his tails had shown him her side of the argument. You know, the Uchiha is going to be difficult if he's discovered anything different with his blood. Naruto grunted. During the week the Kyuubi had avoided them both. It finally took them and the Sannin to corner the Shade with a containment seal that prevented him from leaving the circle. I can't believe the furball was messing with my DNA all the way back then. Naruto said, his S-like blue eyes spotting movement in the forest. Even after all we've been through, the fox holds onto his secrets close to his chest. Naruto snorted. It would be more impressive if his chest was like Grandma Tsunade's. Both Hanyu laughed at the mental picture. The pervert would spend too much time playing with them. Micah said after they both stopped laughing. A giggle from behind them and they turned to see Jiraiya standing there with a look on his face. What's up, pervy sage? Naruto asked his former sensei. What? Oh, I'm here with you two and Gaara, he said, gesturing to where the red-headed Kazekage was sitting, his eyes closed. He then smirked at Micah. You and your girl in the last week have given me enough material for a whole new Ika series. The Hanyu and the Maiden. Jiraiya informed the Dragon Hanyu with a leer. Micah rolled his eyes. Nami will castrate you. Jiraiya looked around carefully. Only if she reads my books. Naruto shook his head as his former teacher looked at him. And what of you and that Hyuga Spitfire? Anything you want to share? Naruto shook his head. Not a thing to tell, pervy sage. What Hinata and I do is between us and the sound barrier seals I put up in my room after that first night of hearing Micah and Nami go at it. The blonde fox Hanyu shot his brother a look. Sound suppressing seals on your room would be appreciated. Micah smirked. Keep forgetting about those. Naruto laughed. Bulls. I saw Nami attack you in the corridor last night. Micah shrugged. The fox is right. Of course your mate can't help herself now. Stay out of this stupid sword. Micah thought to the blade strapped to his back. Naruto smirked as his brother got a distant look. He used to get the same one talking to the Kyuubi. Micah had spent time with him during the week working on their sword work, and he told him the connection the blade now had to him. They're coming. Gaara intoned, drawing all of their looks as several eyes made of sand appeared and then melted into his gourd. Gaara looked at them. They are dismantling the traps. Jiraiya nodded, figured they would. That's why we've been using golems instead of real troops. Took Ibiki, Shizune and a group of medics 2 months to make them all. Naruto shuddered. The F-golems were a type of clone that were controlled from a distance and could be controlled to act independently. They had small chakra reserves so they could perform low-level jutsus, and when they were ked they acted like real people and bled. Itachi's ravens also report that there are 15 new figures around Orochimaru. Hinata said, approaching the pair. Are you sure I can't talk you into going to the hospital? Naruto asked her. Hinata gave him a look and he shrugged. Had to try Haim. She smiled and her hat cupped his cheek and she gave him a tender look. Live through this, Naruto-kun. I want to marry you when this is over with, she said and smiled at his wide-eyed look. Hinata and Naruto had come close several times over the past week of having S, but Hinata would manage to stop before they did. Her reason was that she wanted to be married before she had S. By telling Naruto this, she just told him what she wanted and he grinned. Looks like this battle's going to be over rather quickly then, Haim. He said softly. I want nothing more, Naruto-kun, she said, her pale eyes looking into his. The week-long passion had both of them taking cold showers and frustrated. Naruto would spar with Micah till he couldn't stand. Hinata had destroyed a couple of training grounds in her frustration with her own stupid rules that she had come close to breaking numerous times. One stupid Chunin had said something about her being a demon whore and he was now a quivering mass of F after encountering Hinata's penance stare. Tsunade had a long talk with her about that one, and of course the blonde Hokage had a laugh as her apprentice told her of her frustrations. Plan your vows later, Tsunade said, appearing next to them. She looked around. Coming up behind her were Ino, Shikamaru, Choji and Asuma. Temari and Kankuro arrived and took up positions on either side of their brother. Itachi was the next to arrive, followed by Nami, Guy and Team 9. Everyone ready? Tsunade asked, looking at each. Shizune, Ibiki and Anko report that the golems are doing their jobs, but are falling quickly. She said. Anbu are in position, Lady Tsunade. Itachi reported. He'd taken up his position as captain upon returning and being reinstated. We shall burn 'em to ash with our fires of youth, Yosh. Guy said, making his nice guy pose, but dimmed when Lee didn't join him. He looked over and saw Tenten and Neji holding him and Tenten whispering in Lee's ear. That is so not right. Guy muttered. He'd walked in on his team once, and the amount King intent from the three teens at being interrupted had put Guy in a subdued manner for days. Lee smiled at his mentor and winked, giving him a thumbs up, perking up the taijutsu master. G.O. Lee. Tsunade and the others sighed at his loudness. Kurenai approached with Shino. Kiba and the Inuzuka clan are in position, Lady Tsunade. She reported. Tsunade smiled. The idea of the Inuzuka clan riding the dogs in as a type of light cavalry unit appealed to her. She'd watched as the larger dogs that could be used as mounts that very morning be armed with spiked armor and saddles, while the smaller dogs were armed with spiked armor. They are to hold back till they get the signal, she said, and Shino nodded his head. The Ambarain clan was the messengers here, along with Itachi and his ravens. Both ninja were to remain near Tsunade to relay orders. Members of Shino's family were positioned all around Konoha to receive his bugs. Itachi had ravens nearby with prepared messages. They only awaited mental commands from the last loyal Uchiha. In the distance, the tree line exploded as Orochimaru's forces broke the tree line. Their battle cry was taken up as they were joined by summons ranging from snakes and bears to rock gargoyles. This is it, Tsunade said, pulling off her Hokage robes and leaving her in her top and pants, which covered the modified chakra armor they'd gotten from spring, formerly snow. For Konoha, she yelled. The war for the Leaf Village had begun. The fire jutsus flew from Konoha's defenders onto the onrushing army. They were deflected by rock walls and water jutsus, many of them not reaching the army. Some did and did some damage. Tsunade stood atop the gate, her gaze looking for her former teammate in the advancing army. Second wave, fire. Boulders were flung from catapults that had been built and more fireballs were lobbed at the oncoming mass of enemy nin. Third wave, fire. Naruto smirked as with a torch he ignited the oil-covered boulder and it was launched into the air. Micah smirked as he and Naruto waited. During the week they'd developed some new attacks and they were devastating. The fourth wave of fire attacks were launched and the Snake's army was still coming. Now, Naruto said as the first few rows of the onrushing army fell into pits that were hidden with natural covering, thus negating the chance of being found easier by chakra sensing. Another wave of fire spewed out as the ranks of Konoha nin switched out. Micah looked over to where Nami was and watched as she launched her arrow loaded with exploding tags and took out several Iwa nin as they were using their Earth-style abilities to search for more pit traps. Nami smirked and shot several more, giving a wink to Micah before she stepped back and allowed a Chunin armed with a pair of crossbows to take up her spot. Gaara, who was next to Tsunade, saw that the invading army was at the 100-foot marker they had made in the ground and smirked. My turn, he said, and the genjutsu that hid the sand vanished as the wave of sand rose up from the trench that the Konoha nin had dug and like a tsunami crashed down upon the army. Gaara was far from finished as he called upon his connection to the sand that his time with Shukaku had given him and formed a new attack. Sand style, sand graveyard, he said, gesturing with both hands, and hundreds of invading ninja were sucked into the sand trap. Mass burial, desolation burial. Tsunade watched as the Kazekage used his control over the sand to take out a third of Orochimaru's forces. Gaara was far from finished. Sand trap. More sand rolled out of the trench and sand missile. Gaara intoned, and suddenly the sand formed jagged-looking spikes that rained down upon the invading army. Cloud and Mist nin used water and lightning attacks to neutralize the sand, making it wet or turning it to crystal with lightning attacks. They're still coming, Aruka said in disbelief, seeing the enemy ninja moving past the traps and the B of their comrades without a second glance. Tsunade shook her head and signaled for the catapults to keep a constant barrage. Naruto, Micah, now. She sent the command. Down the wall the two Hanyu smiled as they began their phase of attacks. Ka, Micah began and many who'd seen it before smiled knowing that soon there would be a large amount of enemy nin-s or atomized. Naruto began his own attack he'd learned in the week, he shared a grin with Micah. Micah smirked back at his blonde nine-tailed brother. Naruto continued as the chakra energy between the two Hanyu was manifesting and even the invading army slowed. Danzo seeing this shushin to the back of the army. Micah continued and with his chakra there was the added benefit of wind and lightning now forming around the ball of energy. Naruto finished his own build-up and his ball of chakra launched from his hands and expanded. Micah said launching his own right after Naruto's. The Konoha Nin watched as the two attacks seemed to merge forming an even bigger ball of destruction. From his location at the back of the army with Orochimaru, Danzo knew fear. The opening moments of this attack saw their once overwhelming size force be whittled down to close to the same size as the defending ninja of Konoha. Lord Orochimaru, he began. Send in the summons. Orochimaru said ignoring Danzo. They think that this will stop me. Along the line of attackers, groups were summoning their beasts. Orochimaru stood back and sneered. Giant spiders and gargoyles attacked Konoha's walls. A salamander the size of Gamabunta hit the wall hard. Konoha was not without its defenders as giant bugs were summoned by the Ambarami clan and the Inuzuka clan showed their SKS summoning the boss dogs and wolves. Itachi summoned the boss raven who dive-bombed the ground-based summons. Danzo had been unaware of the amount of summons Konoha had and it shocked him. Tsunade and Jiraiya are holding back as well. Orochimaru muttered. Sakura. The cloaked figure at his side looked up. Have our new friend show us his power. As you command, Lord Orochimaru. Sakura's voice came from the cloak hood. On the wall the defenders were pouring their attacks into stopping the gargoyles and the boss gargoyle from destroying the wall. Tsunade cursed. There's too many of them. She narrowed her eyes. No snakes. Kyuubi who was hovering around froze. He felt something. Something he hadn't felt since the Undervis. What does it mean? Wasn't I cut off from, blast? Naruto. Micah and Naruto were gathering their strength after their attack. While both were very impressive, the chakra drain on both attacks still left them weakened. They were recovering quickly, but they knew the battle was far from over and they couldn't do something like that again without good reason. Naruto. Kyuubi's shout drew their attention and they saw the shade looking up. Naruto got a feeling from his vulnerable senses and shoved Micah aside and dove away as a large figure impacted where they had been standing just moments ago, leaving a crater. Naruto and Micah were up and the pair of Hanyu looked at the imposing Reaper-like appearance of Itindigan. Kyuubi's shade was rushing closer and the pair looked at the giant Undervis native, wondering why he was here. You look like crap, Naruto said to the Tomb Guardian. Why thank you for noticing Kyuubi Kit. And this is the dragonling that stayed out of the tomb. Itindigan said. What are you doing here, Undertaker? This isn't your world. Kyuubi said, hovering closer. Itindigan chuckled. Neither is it yours or the Hanyu's, yet here you all are. The giant said. Naruto looked at those nearby. The rest of you move away. This isn't something you can deal with. His vulnerable senses were screaming at him. Be careful, Naruto. Takesis. Yes, Kit. Digan is not meant to be here. You and the dragon will be hard pressed. He was never meant to leave the tombs. Wonderful. Naruto muttered. Micah already had Stormbringer drawn, the sword sparking with lightning and wind around the blade. Itindigan looked amused. Oh, you have one of those. Is that why you didn't come to claim what was yours, little dragon? Itindigan, you know the law, you are not supposed to be here. Kyuubi said. The shade was very nervous. And you should have passed on. It is apparent that the boy is your successor. He has your power, and you kept him from taking the vow of a Zet. The path of the Zet is not his. Naruto Uzumaki is destined for things far greater than that of a guardian. Kyuubi retorted. Itin sneered. Same old Kyuubi. But it won't matter. Because I'm here to claim both the Kitsune and Draconian. Naruto shook his head and pulled his remaining Mechadiscipline and it activated with an angry snap hiss. The purple blade hummed as Naruto took up a defensive stance. Micah mirrored him. Naruto-kun. Hinata said. Go Hinata. This is a battle none save Micah and I can deal with him. All of you keep back, this fight is beyond any of you. The others wanted to protest, but the look in Naruto's eyes stopped them. There was a hint of fear in the blue eyes. Hinata and the others backed away, many returning to the wall, where they saw the invading army right on the other side. The Battle of the Summons was devastating and it took some of Konoha's defenders with it. On the one side of the wall, Micah and Naruto took up a stance and Itendigan sneered as he pulled off his cloak. He reached behind him and pulled out a mechadisciple hilt that looked to be the size of two of Naruto's back-to-back. Be careful, Kit. Kyuubi warned and cursed mentally his inability to be involved. Iten took up a stance as if offering the weapon to Naruto and Micah, and with an angry snap his twin black blades emerged from the hilt. A staff? Micah asked. A double-bladed mechadisciple. Kyuubi corrected, his eyes seeing the malice in Itendigan's eyes. Is that fear I smell? The big Undervis native asked with a sneer. I was but the guardian for so long, now I am a master. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.